Hey folks, welcome to the Cripes Cast. We are powered by Everlight Solar. Here's this week's episode. Folks, this week I am talking with comedian Yannis Pappas. You know him from the History Hyenas podcast. You know him from the Yannis Pappas Hour. He's got several specials out. You can find those on YouTube. He is hilarious. The specials, by the way, are Mom Love, Blowing the Light, and Let Me Be Yannis. Also his half-hour comedy special on Comedy Central, which is where I first saw him, but super fun dude. Great to have him on, chit chat about comedy. And it was a fun conversation. So that's coming up in just a moment. And also I should mention, Yannis is going to be in Milwaukee at the Improv December 6th and 7th. You can see him, get your tickets now. And before we get to my conversation with him, we are still raising money for Doctors Without Borders. We've got their link in the show notes. You can check them out, doctorswithoutborders.com or at Doctors Without Borders. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, here is my conversation with Yannis Pappas.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Where are you at right now?
I'm at my podcast studio.
Nice. Where's that at?
It's New York City.
Oh, got it. That's fun. How's New York these days?
I tell you, it's been, in the 60s every day. I don't know what it's up there. Like, what's the weather been there?
Weather here in Wisconsin is like 55. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
I was just in Atlanta. It was colder in Atlanta than it was in Wisconsin.
That's crazy. Yeah. It's been, today's 63 degrees in New York, and it's just been 60 every day and sunny. We actually have a drought. Like we haven't had rain in forever. And it's just been nuts. It's been so warm. And hey, I've been enjoying that, but also, going like, what's going on with this climate? We haven't had a winter in 3 years. Like we barely had a winter in 3 years.
I know. I mean, at some point, you gotta be like, are we ever going to do anything about this, or are we just going to just business as usual? You know what I mean? Like at some point it's, I feel like people are like, ignore the climate. It's better for the economy. Ignore the climate. It's better for the economy. But now, the whole economy is just going to get flipped on its head. And then it's going to be like, all right, now we should probably fix the environment when it's kind of too late. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you got to get people believing in it first. I think that some Exxon, I think the CEO of Exxon finally said, like, we got to do something about it. So I think maybe it was him or one other gas company was like, we got to do something about this. And I was like, that is progress, at least.
Yeah,
that's progress.
It's progress, even though those dudes like knew about it in the 70s and like actively went against it, for decades. That's crazy. I don't know. Yeah. You would think that they knew that this was going to happen. But they were like, let's just push it off, keep making a lot of money. And then by the time it's happening, then maybe we'll figure it out then. That's just how we are as people, which is unfortunate.
That's how we are as Americans too, especially just greedy little pigs. We're greedy little pigs. And he probably looked at his granddaughter one day and said, oh God, all right.
Yeah. Finally.
I want her to live. All right. Okay. You twisted my arm. It's 63 degrees in New York City. It snowed once in the past 3 years. Spain they got more rainfall. And, it's funny too, when you talk to someone, because I'm not a scientist and none of us are scientists except for like 0.00001% of us. And those are the ones saying, hey, there's a problem. And then you talk to anyone else and you go like, you see what happened in Spain where they got more rainfall in a couple hours than they do every year. And they go, and you go, isn't that climate change? And they go, how's that global warming? You're going like, well, I think the atmosphere heats up. It heats up the ocean and the storms pull more moisture from the atmosphere and it makes the storm more intense. And they just go, what? It's go, what? Because you don't know. So just can we just let someone know something that we don't know? Like, we've gotten to this era now where it's like, you don't study, you don't put thermometers in the ocean every day and didn't get a degree in this. Can we just let that guy do his job without you going and reading whatever paper you're reading that says it's not real. Just let people do their freaking job. I don't understand what the conspiracy theory would be about the environment.
Oh, I do, dude. I was up north, and they're like northern Wisconsin. Whole economy in the winter depends on snowmobiling. 0 snow last year in some of these places. Places are going out of business. If there's one more year without snow, it's not going to be good for a bunch of these bars, because that's like the sport of snowmobiling. You just drive this motorized death machine to a bunch of bars. I mean, snowmobiling's a blast, but the way some people do it, I'm like, oh God, I don't know. Watch out for deer, my guy. But I was telling somebody, they were bringing it up, and I was like, yeah, it's climate change. It's crazy. And they're like, I don't know about that. I think the sun is increasing its intensity, and there's nothing we could do about this. And I was like, based off of what, my God? How can you believe that, but not the thing that has been, repeatedly scientifically backed up for decades? It goes into like, we as people, we just, I read this article that was talking about the psychology behind it. And it's basically like, facts do not help people change opinions. It was this thing of like, it's a feeling or an energy that helps people change opinions. And I was like, oh my God, we are screwed, That
makes sense. When you think about it, that really makes sense. I think that's why music and comedy can be powerful, because you make someone feel something with your point. You can sort of disarm them from that part of their brain that, has faith over facts, and you can slip a truth in there, while you make them feel something, make them laugh. And same with music, you can make them feel good, and you can say something. I guess that's why art's powerful.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Trojan horse for truth at its best, maybe,
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
And at its worst, it's just a really bad dick joke,
Yeah, even worse, or just mean. Comedy's gotten a little mean. It's the worst it could get. Yeah, like anything, humans, whatever great thing humans have, they will use it to be bad. They will go too far. It's just what we do.
Do you think that's like? Do you think human nature at its best? So, like, there's human nature at its best, human nature at its worst. Do you think it's just like we are sort of like a bunch of humans kind of more at our worst than we are at our best? But if we transferred to kind of being at our best, we could do it. We could figure it out,
I think we could. I think the way I view it, and I've been thinking about this a lot recently, is I feel like the Industrial Revolution happened, and we still had these sort of, hunter-gatherer, then sort of agrarian kind of survival of the fittest brains. And we got all these machines and weapons, and we still were, protecting our territory like animals. And so we saw what we did with that. And we did some great things, like producing things quicker and all that. But then we had these massive wars with these new machines because we have these antiquated brains. And now, that was the last big revolution. And then now we have the tech revolution, which is tantamount to the Industrial Revolution, and how much of a paradigm shift it's caused, and how revolutionary it is. And our brains are just behind. We're not evolved to deal with all this information and all this communication and be aware of all this news. And we're seeing the effect of that, kids having mental health problems, people believing 100 different things at the same time, just people using it for bad. It's too much. It's too much. And we're not equipped with it to deal with it yet. So I think the only hope we have is really looking inward. Like, people got to look inward and sort of figure themselves out, with, I don't want to say therapy, but that's one of the things, or whatever it is, just start figuring out who they are, what their subconscious motivations are, because now we have the leisure to do it. Nobody's working like our grandparents used to work. So now it's time, like, all right, how do I become like a more evolved human being and a more caring, empathetic human being? Why do I do what I do? Who am I? What's going on? And just get control of their brains and subconscious motivations and insecurities and everything, because that's where it all comes from. I mean, Hitler probably did what he did because he had some issue that was like subconscious, and then look at what happens. I'm just using him as an example. It's always about your mommy or your daddy or something, and then you go off, and then you're probably on your deathbed, and you're like, oh God, I did all that just because my mom said that in 1912.
Right.
What a waste.
Yeah. No, it's crazy how many people we will just really hurt because we are that hurt. Hurt people. I don't know. That's a meme.
It's
or
so
something.
true. It's
true.
I know it's a cliche, but it's true. It's a projection. You want other people to feel what you feel, and so you lash out, and you don't even know what you're doing, and you don't know why. And that's something I think if humans worked on, but I don't know if that could happen, because that would take everybody individually doing that, or that becoming part of the culture where we encourage that. And so maybe it can happen. I mean, maybe it will, because everything else has been done. I mean, this country was founded on looting, right? Our grandparents and parents and great grandparents came here to loot. They came here to get whatever they were like, all right, that place has riches over there. We're coming there to loot it and get all the money. So everyone came over here, they looted, they just got money. And, that's what this country was built on, just money and greed and selfishness. And we've done that. I think people are a little tired of that. Commercialization, over-commercialization. We're kind of done with that. Everyone still feels hollow. Now they got the internet. They can get food delivered to their house without moving a finger, a fully cooked meal. That still makes us feel empty. You rich people sitting in their mansions, they're still empty. So maybe people are going to start feeling like, hey, maybe these Eastern Hemisphere people, they knew something when they started meditating and doing mindfulness and all this stuff. And maybe we need to start incorporating a little bit of that into our greedy little American minds.
I think we're going to see it, man, because with the, you got all the AI stuff, and that's like replacing a bunch of jobs. And if you listen to Elon Musk talk or whatever, he's saying like in 20 years, something like that. First of all, there's going to be more robots than humans. But then on top of that, all of our jobs, he said, like, we're not even going to have to work. And then whoever was interviewing was like, well, what are they going to do? Like, so many people get their like worth or whatever from working. And he was like, yeah, that's kind of a 20-year problem. I was like, well, why, wait, can we back up? Like, why are we even doing this? Because like the AI stuff, there's so much damage to the environment, like the amount of fossil fuels it takes. And then it's also killing jobs. So it's like, it seems like a good solution would just be, let's dial that back. Or if we're going to do the AI thing, let's do it to exclusively figure out the health stuff and the environment stuff, and then let people make their own toast, but I don't know.
It's that I don't think anyone has an answer to that is good. And it's scary when you hear them go like, yeah, this is going to be a problem. And I don't know. And then everyone just goes, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what people are going to do. It's like, yeah, it's going to be a problem. Nobody's going to. Now they got like self-driving cars already. They're doing the self-driving taxis. Once they do the self-driving trucks, they're already using machines in China at the docks. That's a big issue here that the union's fighting against, is using, technology instead of dock workers. You're like, what are all those guys going to do? I mean, what's everyone going to do? You can go to ChatGPT and draft up a legal document. Well, what are a lawyer's going to do? It's just this stuff that's going to get better. And then you're going like, if computers are doing everything, what are we going to do? We're just going to sit around and meditate? Or we're just going to sell pics of our feet on OnlyFans and do podcasts? I mean, maybe we're just all going to become content creators and just create content for each other. I don't know. Porn and content. That's what seems to be. And betting. You see, how big gambling is right now?
Oh my God.
They got more money than Hollywood, because everyone's just gambling, putting their feet on OnlyFans or doing a podcast. And that's all we got.
Well, and they all fuel each other, because where do you get the money when you lose all your money gambling? Well, feet pics, baby, selling socks, selling worn socks. you know?
Yeah. So that's the
Guy,
new American economy.
yeah, guy that I do some videos with, he had a DM come through, a dude asking if he could buy some of his old shoes. And I was like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a whole new world. I don't know
It's a
what
whole
we're
new
going
world.
to do.
Whole new world. It's all, yeah, everything is digital. And so I guess Biden brought back some manufacturing here for the chips. Maybe that'll be good, but I don't know. I don't know what this world's going to look like. And but hopefully we figure it out. But yeah, it seems like this environment thing is getting. This is 3 years in a row right now where you're going, and then everyone keeps telling me it's supposed to be a cold winter. I'm like, that's what they said last year. And like we got
Yeah.
like 1 week of snow and like 3 days under freezing, or like a week, and that was it. I mean, when I was a kid, it was like freezing from, you're up to, it's like from the beginning of November all the way till like May, it was cold. And now it's like, it feels like it's spring right now. The weather's spring. And for right now, yeah, it's great. But I don't know what that means for the future.
Yeah, I mean it's comfortable, but it's almost like a comfort you didn't earn, you know?
Yeah.
And you feel kind of bad about it, but
it's like doing coke. You feel high now, and then tomorrow it's going to be really bad.
You know you're going to be crying on your couch at 9 a.m. wanting to call your mom, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Do you think that like how do you think people are going to do it though? Really, like, because these things are so addicting. I feel like people, like, all their problems or whatever, like, get dumped right into this just by scrolling, and then you just figure out either your biggest fear, or you just kind of like double down into like whatever thing here is telling you that life is okay, but it's all kind of just a lie, you know? I feel like we just got to like get outside more.
Yeah, we got to get outside. People got to go outside. Every comedian I talk to has gotten to the point with social media specifically, right? So the internet is great for many things, like listening to long form talks like this is great, or meditation apps, or information, or learning something, or it's great. But social media is obviously designed to turn your brain into a mess, into like it's made everyone into like a gambler, like the same brain chemistry as a gambler, where people going on there, refreshing videos, looking how many likes they got, looking how many comments, and then you're reading comments and you're getting dopamine hits from like people you don't even know, and then people are saying bad things, and then you're going, oh, I'm terrible, and then it's just too much. And every comedian I've spoken to has come to the realization that it's bad. I guess they've come to the same realization as like 14 states that just filed a lawsuit against TikTok, going like, hey, our mental health costs for youth are through the roof. And every kid that's coming in here is saying, TikTok is screwing with their brain up. And so it's bad. Yeah, I think we all know it now. I think it's one of those things like cigarettes or whatever else that came out, that we know at the beginning everyone was doing, it was marketing to us. And now everyone's going like, wait, I feel really bad. And why do I feel bad? Oh yeah, because I was just disassociating for 6 hours in an imaginary world that's not real. And none of it's real. And my brain is all screwed, and I'm like addicted, and they design it to be addictive. There was that haunting line in that documentary about the social networks, about that guy from Facebook. It just haunted me when he said it. He goes, everyone's staring into the computer and they think they're using the computer. But what you don't know is there's a supercomputer staring back at you. It's like nobody's more powerful than a supercomputer. There are it's just getting data on you, how long you stayed on this video, what you looked at. They know everything about you, and they're targeting you for marketing and trends and your information and location and everything, just so they can just inundate you with sales and put you in some sort of population group and market. It's just, we've all become raised and conditioned by machines, and what's missing in that is humanity and connection. So people have sacrificed connection for attention. Everyone's into attention now, and if you're trying to get attention, you're not trying to connect. And connecting happens outside. Nobody really connects on the internet. I mean, Manti Te'o had a whole fake relationship with a fat gay guy who he fell in love with, who he thought was a woman for like years. I mean, it's one of the funniest things. I mean, if that's not the best example, you know about that, right? The football player. I mean, it's one of the, when you watch that documentary, you're going like, that's the internet. It's one big catfish. I mean, this kid was in love head over heels. And the whole time he was talking to just this gay guy who was just lying to him. And that's the internet.
Yeah. It's almost like that. You know, you see how it easily gets to that movie, Her. You remember that with like Scarlett Johansson? It's like all these sci-fi movies that we made in like the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. They're all just coming true. Like, I think we got to stop making sci-fi movies, dude.
We don't need to. Yeah.
It's the blueprint. You know, we got to stop like imagining that. I think just be careful. Whatever sci-fi movie you make today, it's going to happen. So make a better sci-fi movie. Make one where the world doesn't end, you know?
Yeah. You're going like, even if you do something about aliens, you're like, well, the government's told us that they're there. So that's not even a sci-fi movie anymore. What is, it's all become reality. It's wild.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Is. I don't even know. How do you do it with, serve as a comedian? You know, like you've been, what year did you start doing comedy?
Well, I started around 2000. I quit for a while, and then I started doing it full time in 2000. And I started again in 2005, 6, and then I went full time in about 2008. So I had a couple of start and stop dates. So I've been doing it for 20 plus years overall.
Yeah, and you kind of see sort of the changes over time and being a comic. It used to be, you know, you go, you work the craft, you work the door at a comedy club, you bark, do all that sort of stuff. And now it's like you just got to get a following, and then your comedy can be okay, you know, but then you can sell tickets, and then you better hope your comedy gets good, or people probably won't keep buying tickets. But it's a weird dynamic of how it's changed.
Oh my God. It's completely different. It's crazy. It's crazy. A lot of good and a lot of bad. Yeah.
Yeah. There is, what do you think like comedy's role is in sort of like shaping culture? Have you seen that change over your time in comedy? Have you seen it change for better or worse?
I think for worse. I got to say that. And I think it's just an objective observation. I think people used to watch a comedian for an hour and get the vibe. I remember Chris Rock's specials, just you could sort of feel the effect they had on the culture and just relations, tensions people had. It kind of eased everything. You could just feel it. You can, you know, it's people sat there and watched the whole hour. Now, you know, even when you talk to people at Netflix or whatever, nobody gets through 22 minutes. It's like 22 minutes at most. And it's everyone's watching clips, and your clip has to be sensationalized and increasingly more attention grabbing. So comedy's become, I think, a little more irrelevant in that it has an effect on the culture the way that it used to when comedians like George Carlin, and you'd watch that special and it'd make you think, or just even someone who just made you laugh. You know, you sat there and you just soaked in his vibe for an hour, and, you know, it was good. It was good for your brain. And now it's like this scroll thing where you're like, you don't even know who the comedian is. You're just looking at the quick joke, and you just scroll past it. You don't even, I saw it. And it's disorienting. It's overwhelming. And yeah, the quality has gone down because whatever increases in quantity decreases in quality, and people are living in their own niche worlds driven by algorithms. So there's nothing that unifies us except hate. I've seen that unify us, like hate, extreme disapproval of another political ideology to an extent that you didn't see before the internet. Beliefs and conspiracy theories unite people, which they usually hate the other side. I think a lot of times people vote for the candidates out of spite for the other side. Sometimes you'd be like, I don't even like this guy, but I fucking hate her. you know,
right.
It's like the thing that I see most unifying us is hate, which is really weird because we're not doing anything all together anymore. There's no movies everyone's seeing. There's no news. You know, the only thing is football. Yeah, that's what everyone's watching. Just football.
And everyone's watching it.
Football and hate.
And more people are watching football because they got money on the line, you know? That's kind of it.
Yeah. And some of the players too, probably.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a whole thing. You know, we haven't even scratched that surface.
That's going to happen. You're going to see the guys using friends and proxies, 3 degrees of separation to kind of try to, increase their salaries, especially in football where they don't have guaranteed contracts and all that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. We're talking about a lot of really uplifting stuff so far on this podcast. Like what keeps you going through all this stuff? Like what keeps you making it, not just like I don't know, giving it up, retiring, whatever. What keeps you going?
Yeah, it's I'm optimistic. I don't blame all the things we're talking about. I don't blame anyone for it. I think we're all victims to it. I think we're all struggling with it. I think everyone's trying to figure it out. I just try to understand what people are going through because I'm going through the same thing. I'm no better at it. I've done all those bad things. I've pulled over on the side of the road to continue a Facebook argument. I've made all those mistakes that everybody makes, So I think we will figure it out. I think this is just the time where, like I said, to bring it back, it's just a new technology that we're now coming around to understanding needs to be used right and regulated right. And it's not good for you in some ways, but it's good for you in others. I mean, social media specifically, I think is bad like cigarettes in a lot of ways, but the internet, I think overall is great. And, I think it's a good time for comedy in that way, especially live comedy, and I think that's why there's such a boom, is because now I think people are realizing that that's a great experience to go watch someone for an hour live. It used to be that being on a screen was such a unique experience. You're like, oh my God, there's a comedian on a screen. He must be famous. He must be good. And everyone would watch. But now screens are so commonplace that the unique experience is actually going out and seeing someone live and, being soaked in by the pauses and the rhythm of it and the timing of it and letting someone take you on a journey and having a live night out with other people where you can hear them laugh and you're a part of that, human experience. We're a social species. So that's what makes us happy. Happiness is being around other people, So I think it's been good for comedy in that way, live comedy. I think that's why you've seen the boom. I mean, there's a real boom in people buying tickets. It's definitely gone down this year, but I think that's because of the economy and people worried about the election and all the uncertainty and inflation. But, I think that'll even out. And I think, maybe plays come back again. People want to go out and watch a play. Like humans always seem to go through these dark times and then there's just something about us where we just keep pushing and get through it. So I just think I'd rather think of it that way and be a part of that. Like let's make everyone's life a little better by bringing attention to these things and making light and not judging or yelling at people about it and just sort of trying to get through this. Cause I think everyone's a little disoriented, everyone's a little like looking for meaning now because the internet does so much for us.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I mean, I've been down a lot of those things myself, the rabbit holes or the, you get really pissed at some Russian who's pretending to be from the Midwest in your comments. Those Russians are good at that, actually.
Yeah,
they slip up
it.
every now and again, but it gets them off. But I feel like I got this thing where I try to go on an hour walk every day. Which is easy for me. I don't have kids or anything. So, but every time I do it, my brain goes from feeling like it's just got a bunch of plaque on it, to just coming back and being like, oh, all right, this thing. Like you just have this, like, you're like, why am I so anxious? And then I go on that walk and I just come back and I'm good again. And I feel like, more people would do that. That would probably be good. And then you'd be more connected to the fact that this place is heating up pretty quick,
Yeah. Because you're outside and you're like, it's warm out here.
Yeah. That's another, the machines, you can see it. Like they're doing it perfect. They're like, all right, so we'll divide them divide and conquer, like united we stand, divided we fall. We like put the way to defeat us on like a bumper sticker, so it's like we made it so easy to tell like Russia or just the robots like how to defeat humanity, and we're letting them do it, so like
we are. It really is. I mean, it's just crazy. And, the social media platforms have allowed it to happen because, it shows more engagement. They look the other way. They're going like, oh, look at all these people. They go to the advertisers, they go to their board and they go, look at how many people are on our platform. They're like, are they real people? And they go, don't ask that question. Look at the engagement. Look at them engaging. They look at how many, look at this. This is great. These are engaged eyeballs for your product. And they go, all right, can we look at your metrics? Yeah, we have all the data right here. It's our data. Look at this. It's great. Yeah. Yeah. And there's just some farm in Russia and China, and they're just, 100 million fake accounts, and they're just going nuts. I bet you every citizen of some countries just has like, that's like the government gives them a little money. Just like, go fuck with some Americans. Just like, here's 10 cents a month. Just have a fake profile on X and just go wild.
Russia loves doing that stuff. They've been really, really good at it and really proficient. Cause like they can't defeat us with their military. So the whole my buddy's buddy is in the CIA, and he was saying like, Russia knows they can't do it with the military. So the way they do it is social media. The way they do it is, that's why Twitter, I feel like 6 months ago, someone was looking at all the Twitter profiles and like an insane number, like some like 80% or what. It was mind blowing how many of those accounts were just not real,
Yeah.
It just, yeah. So anyways, what?
I love that this is to promote my comedy shows. By the way, my comedy shows are nothing like this. I'm talking about my family and being a father, and it's all kind of light. Well, it's more light than this, but there are some of these themes in there that I kind of sneak in. I sneak in the jokes, and it's fun. Yeah, it's a good time.
Folks, excuse the interruption, but I want to let you know that everything you're listening to, everything you're seeing is because we got these solar panels on the roof of the deal. Everlight Solar put up our solar panels, and now all this energy we have is good for the environment and good for the pocketbook. If you want Everlight Solar to come to your place, go to everlightsolar.com. They'll give you a free consultation. You can't beat that, folks. I can talk. And by the way, I got to tell you guys, Fleet Farm, we're just days away from Black Friday, and Fleet Farm is your place to find this year's biggest and best deals on gifts and everyday essentials. Fleet Farm will open their doors at 5 a.m. on Black Friday. First 500 customers get a free plush penguin and have a chance to fill their cart with the best deals. More of an online shopper? Fine. Go to fleetfarm.com starting 8 p.m. Wednesday, November 27th, and go to town, ladies and gents. No matter how you prefer to shop, you won't want to miss Fleet Farm's huge Black Friday deals. And by the way, speaking of Black Friday, mantalkminute.com, we've got all your Midwest deals. Our Black Friday deal starts next week, and we have so many great sales items, and everybody who purchases something is going to get a free gift because we love you guys. All right, let's get back to my conversation with Yannis Pappas. Where are you playing? You're coming to Milwaukee, right?
Yeah. Coming to Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Improv, and I've never been to Milwaukee. So
man.
Yeah, I've only been to Madison a bunch of times, and I've never been to Milwaukee. So I'm really excited to come to Milwaukee and go to all the bathhouses that Jeffrey Dahmer went to. There's like a tour.
Yeah, there is actually. Yeah. I guide it. And I wear these glasses when I do.
Yeah.
Okay. You want
I want to
to
go. Yeah, I want to go get a hot dog with the special sauce. What's it called? The secret sauce or something?
Oh, so the stadium sauce. Yeah. You go to Brewers game at the Brewers are in town. They got the stadium sauce there. You got to get a brat. So, I'll give you sort of your Milwaukee 101. You got to go. We have a bronze Fonz down on the Riverwalk. Arthur Fonzarelli, the
Oh
Fonz.
yeah.
Obviously, Happy Days took place in Milwaukee. They didn't shoot it here. They shot it somewhere in LA. But anyways, we have a bronze statue of the Fonz, which I
Yeah.
think is pretty damn cool. Some people are, you always have those super hipsters that are like, that doesn't represent us. Da, da, da. I think it's pretty cool. And so that's there. We got a great art museum here, which is sweet. The Bucks are going to be probably playing a game around the time you're in town. Pabst, Miller, all the beers, Schlitz. You can go do brewery tours till you're blue in the face. So, are you a drinker? Do you like beer?
Yeah, I like a brew here and there. Yeah, and all that stuff. I'm gonna do all that stuff. I can never go to a game. Basketball's my favorite sport, and the only time I've ever been able to go to a game was once in Salt Lake City. I caught the middle of the third and fourth quarter because I just ran over after my shows and was able to catch a third because it's always at the same time as the games. They're at night, so it's like I would love to go to a Bucks game. I would like, especially since Giannis is Yeah. I mean, thanks to that guy, my Google ranking, I used to be pretty high up on the Giannis. Now I'm like way down. There's like some sculptor who's also a famous Giannis. I mean, it's like he has dominated my Google search.
Has there been any like positive back and forth, between it? Or has he just taken, I mean, you guys spell it different.
Thank God he spells it different. Yeah. If he spelled it the same way, I mean, I'd be obsolete. So he does spell it different. So that helps a little bit. But yeah, it's so funny to hear. I'll be just like watching the game or TNT, and I'll hear Giannis, and I'll be like, "That's me," and I'm like, "Oh no, that's a famous Giannis. He's just." I always had a dream of making that name in America mean something, and now it'll just always be, "Oh, like the basketball player." I'm like, "Yeah, like the greatest basketball player on the planet." Yeah, it's like being named Michael Jordan as your whole first name. It's like, because everyone always just calls him Giannis because his last name is too hard to pronounce.
Right.
So it's basically like my name's like Michael Jordan. And so it's like,
well, at least it's not like Michael Bolton, like in the office space. You remember that? Yeah. I mean, it's positive, so at least you're not fighting it like, no, not like that.
Right.
Do you ever get to cities like early and go hang out for a day or anything like that, or usually one city to the next kind of thing?
Yeah, nowadays, because I got two daughters, like I go day of show because I just I just want to spend the least amount of time away from them. But I'm excited to do this stuff in Milwaukee because I've never been there, and a lot of the cities I've been to before, so I just go do the shows. Friday, Saturday, and just try to get back. It's when you have daughters or kids now, when you're a comic, it's like the road you don't look at it the way you used to. I used to I love being away, and I still love doing the shows and being away, but I do miss my family. And so I try to get back as soon as I can. Yeah.
How old are your kids?
I got a 4 and a 1-year-old.
Oh man. So, yeah. Those are special years there too. I get that.
It's special years, and I don't want to miss a lot of it. And, I'm surrounded. I talk about it all in my act. It's all about just being a father with girls, and I'm just surrounded by estrogen. It's just crazy. It's really like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
How is that having kids? How's that changed you as a comic?
Oh, everything. It changes your whole life. Makes you less self-obsessed, self-absorbed. Comedians are very self-absorbed. We're always like listening, but also going like thinking of jokes and thinking of ourselves and our careers and stuff. And it's a total shift from that into just thinking about your kids. You think a little more about like, what is my daughter going to see? And, it matures you, it just sort of matures you and makes you grow up, which, I think in our culture, nobody really wants to anymore because things are so good. We're like, I don't want to grow up, and things are so good for me right now. I can't start a family. I got a Twitch account that just is starting to get hot. I don't have the time to think about kids.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but it's rewarding. So it's both, but it is hard. Yeah. Like, when JD Vance talks about the cat women or whatever, he's like, these women aren't having kids. I'm like, I kind of understand why they don't. It is a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. Like anyone who chooses not to have kids, I'm like, I get it. I get it.
What's been like the hardest part that like you didn't expect?
That you don't get a chance to have a moment for yourself until they go to sleep. And then when they go to sleep, you're too tired to do anything. So it's basically no break from work. That's the thing. I could say that right away. It's just you wake up and you're working. You're a dad. You're taking care of people. You get them to school and you're like, my 4-year-old's going to pre-K now. So it's like, and then I come home and my 1-year-old's like, eating crayons and I'm like keeping her alive. And, and you just are constantly working and there's just no time for you, which makes you value whatever you do. Like when they're asleep is just when they're asleep, it's just like, it's the best. And then you're like, oh, I can do something. And then you're like, I just want to lay. I just want to lay here. I can't move. I can't do anything. And then next thing you know, you're asleep and so there's just no time for yourself. And then you go and you work and then you're doing comedy and you're like, all right, now I got to make these people feel happy. It's like, what about me? Where's me? Who's paying attention to me? So it's a 24 hours, 7 days a week job that doesn't stop. So the relentlessness of it.
Yeah. What's been like the best thing, the thing that you didn't imagine?
Oh God, just the love you have for them. The love is unimaginable and how they melt you and just make you more empathetic, more understanding, more patient. It's seeing the world through their eyes. It brings you back to your childhood, gets you in touch with sort of the sillier part of you. And, just that it's not all about you anymore, which is a freeing thing. Because it's not about any of us. And so your ego takes the blow that it needs to kind of free you. And it's peace. There's a lot more peace in my life with kids. It's ironic because you think, death is this scary thing and impermanence is this scary thing. But when you just have this radical acceptance about, oh yeah, I have all this stuff that I love. And especially now, my daughters, I love them so much. It's crazy to think about like, oh my God, one day I'm going to leave before them. But then that frees you up in some weird way to understanding that it's not about you. And that takes a pressure off. And then you also understand we all die and we all have this experience. So we're all part of this thing together. And there's some peace that comes with that. Just knowing that we're part of something bigger together. We're all part of the same thing. And you don't have any control over it. And that's kind of a good thing because I think a lot of anxiety comes from like trying to control things you can't control and worrying about things you have that don't, you have no control over. I'm being redundant, but you just give it, you just accept. There's like a level of acceptance to like what this is about. Like, all right, I'm here. And then my daughters are going to be here and it's part of this bigger thing. We're all part of it and we're all kind of in it together. And so you just feel more connected to what life is. And you just have more of a radical acceptance of what reality is. And that ironically it's ironic because it's scary. You go, oh my God, there's so much suffering and we die and but for some reason, when you really radically accept it, you're like free because we're all in it together and we're all connected. And I don't know. I mean, it's like, I guess having kids is like taking ayahuasca.
Have you done that? Have you ever
No,
done
I've never done it. I've never done it, but I've heard.
Yeah. Well, you talk about, you've already said like things like radical acceptance and the therapy stuff. You do therapy?
Yeah, I do therapy.
Do you like it? Do you think that helps your, hey, look at me. I'm already saying, do you think that helps your comedy? I'm already looking for, how does that help the word spoken like true workaholic?
The comedians are, they obviously, to do comedy, there's something you missed.
Yeah.
If you try to get strangers to like you, and approve of you. So it used to be, I remember all comedians were like, I don't want to do therapy because I don't want anything to make me less funny. I like that I'm angry when I'm not supposed to be angry. But I found that has changed too. Like, I don't know anyone who is not in therapy now. All the comedians I know, I can't even, there's just a change in perspective on it. And I think it helps. It just helps. I don't think it hurts. It helps. I mean, that would be weird if comedy was the only profession where not being well helped you, you know?
Right.
So
right.
I think that's just a big lie about that. And I think we all bought it for a while.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's a good thing. I think like I've done it for a while, and I think it's just good to get the like your brain is the one thing that you take everywhere, you know? And so if you can be good wherever you go, I mean, that's better than having some souped up car, you know, that has like ass warmers on the seat or whatever. Like if you're
100%.
always, you know, like if you can be the same you in a airplane or a tree stand or like walking through a crowded city, like that's a good way to be. You can figure
100%.
that out.
Yeah, 100%.
You also find like all these, like you go in thinking like you got a unique problem, thinking that you're somehow special. And then they are like, oh, yeah, you have anxiety. And you're like, no, I mean, I got something more special than anxiety. And then they send you like a YouTube video to watch and you come back and you're like, yeah, I got some pretty crippling anxiety. So
yeah.
What are we going to do about that? You know?
Yeah. And other people have it too. And you know, anytime you're comforted by the fact that you're not alone and every other people do it, there's just something that feels good about that. You're like, oh yeah, I'm dealing with what other people are dealing with. I'm not alone with this. And you just, I don't know. Yeah. Cause we're a social species. Like we're just not meant to be alone. We're not cheetahs, you know?
Right.
Yeah, we're wolves. We need to be in packs and around each other and socializing. And
yeah, we're even more than that. We're like, you know, the apes or whatever the first humans were. And we're just looking around for saber-toothed tigers, you know. Now that there are no saber-toothed tigers. And almost not even real tigers, back to the climate change. But you know, you say that and you're always looking for it. And if there's not a saber-toothed tiger, you're going to invent one so quick.
Yes.
And that's where the, you know, disaster baiting about whatever issues going on in society or like some person who said something to you, we just make mountains out of molehills. We make saber-toothed tigers out of like little house cats. You know,
and that's like what goes back to what we started talking about. We have these like prehistoric brains in these modern times, and we have the only way to catch up is to look inward and figure it out and just sort of coach yourself into understanding that and dealing with it.
Yeah. You're in addition to doing stand up and everything, you do podcasts, you do all that. Like did you start doing all that stuff sort of as a kind of the way a lot of comedians do, as a way to sell tickets? Was there sort of you know, I feel like the way like I started doing social media videos was because like I wanted to, you know, sell tickets. And then you kind of find some stuff in what you're doing that you really like, and it becomes another passion. Is that how you feel about doing the stuff outside of stand-up?
Yeah, me and Nate Bargatze, who's huge now, we had a podcast. My first podcast was with him, and we did everything wrong. And we did it. It was like 2008 or 9. It was so new. And we were doing it because he saw, I got to admit, it was more him. He saw how big they were going to get. And yeah, it was good for your career. I didn't see it at the time. I had something take off, another viral video take off, and I started selling tickets that way. And this was around 2010. I didn't really understand it, but I was like, well, I almost felt like I was doing something wrong. I was like, but wait, what about the half hour? What about a late night show? What about, so that podcast ended and Nate became huge. And I tried a bunch of podcasts that failed. And yeah, it was all about trying to, you know, get fans to come see you perform. But then I fell in love with the medium of riffing with another comedian. And I started a podcast with Chris Stefano, History Hyenas, that we did for a couple years. That got really popular. Then we stopped, and we actually just brought it back. So now it's back, and the reaction's been incredible. And I'm doing that now, and I enjoy doing that in and of itself. It's just so much fun. It's this new medium that we practice a lot and have gotten good at it. It's basically riffing and two-man comedy, and I have my own podcast where I just talk, and that's the Yannis Pappas Hour. And there are new mediums that people are into, and they've sort of become things in and of themselves as well. So it's a great way to get fans to know about you and then come see you do stand up, and so it's great.
Yeah. And is it the kind of thing where, as you have kids or whatever, you kind of get away from touring for a while, just do that kind of thing? Or are you the kind of guy like, no, I've always got to be on the road in some capacity?
No. I'd love to get off the road and do that. And just make my road certain times. I do not need to be on the road all the time. Yeah.
I get that. So, by the way, where did, before we wrap up, how'd you come up in comedy? Where did you first start doing it? Who's kind of the crew you came up with?
I came up in New York. I came up with like me and Nate, Soder. That was sort of the generation. Hannibal, Mark Normand. Sam Morrell was a little behind us, but it was like Normand, Soder, Nate. Who else? I'm just forgetting everybody, but it was it was that generation. It was it was like the early 2000s. There was a crew of us, and we hung out. A lot of them, some of them aren't. I don't know if they're doing comedy anymore. But those are some of the guys who are still going that have gotten big. That was my crew when I was coming up.
What got you into it? What made you, were you working before you started doing stand-up?
I started it. I graduated college, and I was like 23, and I took a comedy class, and then I did stand up for the first time. Then I got into sketch. I formed a sketch group, and we started doing sketches. And then I was working. I was doing social work. I started doing 9/11 disaster relief in 2002. And then around 2005, that was like an ad hoc agency that ended when the funding ran out. And then I started working at SROs, which are single room occupancy buildings in New York for formerly homeless and mentally ill people. So I did that for, I think, 5 years total. So that's what I was doing. And during that time, I kind of stopped doing comedy. I would do it once in a while, but barely at all. And because there was a struggle of like making money and being broke. And then I got a girlfriend who like paid my rent. And so that was around 2008. I quit my job and just kind of lived off her and made a go at it, and was driving everywhere for $150 and losing money. And, and somehow I just started shooting videos with my buddy who I grew up with, and we got one to go viral and 2 characters to go viral. And then I started selling some tickets, and I started making some money finally in comedy. And then I got TV shows and the half hour and all that stuff as it started to unfold. But it was a real challenge because I was in that generation where the internet wasn't there at the beginning, and then it was there, and then it was there, but nobody really knew what it was. And then it became everything. So I was in that transition of where it became from nothing to everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. And then you just kind of have always been changing with it as it goes and finding like your place. And it's crazy how it just changes. You just got to keep riding that wave and figuring out what the hell is next and how do you do the thing that's good that you're currently doing.
Yeah.
Big old pain in the pecker.
Pain in the pecker. I like that.
Yeah. We got this question that we ask everyone on the Cripes Cast. And if you've not been to the Midwest, when you say cripes, it's like, cripes, like something that's a pet peeve, something that pisses you off or whatever. What makes you say cripes?
What makes me say cripes? Oh, man. I'd have to say something that I really get annoyed by, I think, is that there's not enough daddy-daughter bathrooms. It's like when I'm alone with my daughter and she's got to go to the bathroom, I just look at the male-female bathroom and I just go in your pants, man. Like, I'm not going in. What am I supposed to do? I can't take you to the men's. I can't take a little girl in the men's. I can't take you. I mean, it's just everyone's out there talking about adding bathrooms. Can we add one for dads?
What is the proper protocol in that situation? Because she's 4, you said 5. What'd you say?
She's 4. Yeah, she's 4. The proper protocol is to just, before you go out, put her in a diaper and tell her, listen, you're with daddy and nobody cares about us. And so you're just going to go in your diaper and I'm going to change you like you're 1. And that's it.
That reminds me of the story. My buddy, my cousin, actually, he ate some bad food. He was with 3 of his kids, and he was driving them up north, and he had to stop at this BP, which had the worst bathrooms ever, and it's just a single stall, and he's just got to unload, and he's got all of his kids in there, and he sends me this picture of just all of them looking at him, and one is going like this, holding her ears, and the other's holding his nose, and then he's got his baby in this baby seat. It's like they almost need to like bathroom daycare, like just a daycare attendant at each bathroom or something like that.
That's Parenthood right there. It's just there's a lot of you're just dealing with a lot of bowel movements that aren't yours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because you don't want to take your poor 4-year-old daughter into a men's bathroom. That's this, like, there's not a seat you can sit on there, you know?
That's right. Yeah. So it's a dilemma. It's a real that's I'll say that. I'll go, that's my gripe.
Well, I feel for you. I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope, I think, to your point earlier, we just got to say the change that we want to see in the world on these very important podcasts. And then maybe somebody out there will hear this, pick it up, and start a new app for that.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. Let's hope
so.
Let's
hope so. Yeah.
One more time, you're going to be in Milwaukee at the Improv. What are the dates again?
Shit.
Yeah.
It's this weekend.
December 6th
and 7th.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm a great promoter. Jesus Christ.
Where can people get tickets?
YannisPappasComedy.com. Yeah. Just go to my website, YannisPappasComedy.com.
I love it, man. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. And good luck in Milwaukee. I hope you can get out and hang out during the day while you're there on Saturday and have a good time, man. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate this. Absolutely. It's fun. Yeah, man. Absolutely. It was great talking to you. Nice talking to you. All right. We'll see you around. Take care, brother. Bye-bye. And that is it for this week, folks. Make sure you follow Yannis at Yannis Pappas on all the social medias. Follow us at Cripescast anywhere you get your podcasts. Thanks to Colleen Maraca and Hannah Milos for producing and editing this. And everybody, thank you for listening. Keep her moving and watch for them deer. So roll out the barrel and get the band brewing. Life's got you down. Just keep her moving. It's on Wisconsin. The Badgers say it's the old Wisconsin Jubilee. You know, sometimes when you're ice fishing, you put your foot in the walleye hole and go ass over tea kettle and you think you're done. No, you gotta keep her moving.